Yeah. And then eventually, like I told you, we'll be crossing you over to the Jefferson and Women's Conference Center for everything.
Now, a whole woman in Pochi, me who said me soon, me who said a making say, Jadian Pong, Anna Mekere, Omogana, Makodu, a lot of fire shade, me call the one's water, almost sick as me name, the Susian Nakami, but it got you, because Papi Joe, the Santana. Oh, what you would see, she know what's the good of fear, Yafigana. Ahamo, I hand you, Constant, game mark 5 now. Home and the table carry, no stop and the south and the job. Papi Chiu, so of the mummy baby. Bad you, mamma, if so many with what the Marco Fie, or movie. Oh, what my brand, I'm in Sheffield. 30 minutes continue. Hey, you the sell drugs here.
Okay, so all said right about now here at 98.3 FM, joined by Sir Joseph Aban, who happens to be the director for National Commission for Civic Education, that is FW2. This morning, like I told you, remember, we're looking at the subject of the population and housing census. That is a mop-up experience and what you and I need to know. And then, with time permitting, we will be looking at the subject of Article that is 41 A and B. That's got to do with duties of a citizen. Without much ado, let me say a very good morning to you, Sir Aban. Many thanks for having made time to have joined us here in the studios.
Yeah, good morning, and trust you are doing well.
By the grace of God.
Thank God.
So welcome to the studios.
Thank you very much.
Once again. Like you mentioned, I know the subject of PHC has been on for quite a considerable length of time now. Sir Ernest Quinte, who happens to be the regional field supervisor,
yes,
has equally been very helpful as well. From where you happen to be, what would you want to share with the public before we go straight to the case to do with Article that is 41 A and B, duties of a citizen? We know this is a mop-up period, so just a few days more to eventually wrap it up.
Yeah. Once again, good morning to our listeners. What we've been discussed through your platform, we always appreciate you and the university for giving us such opportunity. We have some few days to end the mop-up, and all that we are saying is that we should own the program and also fully participate, especially those of us. The problem has been that sometimes these officers come to the houses, various houses, and there's nobody in the house.
Okay.
And they also do a follow-up, do some calls, and these stories remain. And it's been a very big problem for some of them. Of course, they are doing their best, but we need to also maybe, some of us need to also maybe put up our best and see to it that this thing is done. Usually when you go to the fathers, mothers at the seaside, that's where we have most of the problems, and especially those of us at the locals and other areas. So some of us are government workers, and we leave the house very early and come to the house late. And sometimes some of these field officers would also, I just came from work and about to go to the kitchen, do one or two things, and you come to disturb me. But other than that, they've done well, and we should appreciate them. And also some of us too, we've also done our best. Just that we have some few days to end the program, and all that we are saying that we should.
That's Sunday, right?
Sunday coming. And I think when we look at the statistics, we've done about
85%, according
and
to
we have
Professor
20,
Samuel,
yes, 15% to
government statistician.
Yes. So all that we are saying, those of us that were not able to have the opportunity to be counted, we should try as much as possible to report to the assembly, the municipal assembly, and also to the statistical office, so that we, at the end of the day, we all maybe be counted and have the accurate data, accurate system that we wish to.
It is all for our own good.
Yes, it's better. For the importance, and we've said it earlier, and we know it's going to help us. Yes, severally. But was it last week or last 2 weeks? The UN observer team was around. They were observing. I was telling somebody, even the the UN, they've seen the importance of this, and they came down to
census is so critical.
Yes. They've seen the importance of all these things, and they were around to observe how much more those of us Ghana, the citizen, how don't we put much effort in this thing?
This exercise should have been conducted last year, because of the pandemic.
Because of the pandemic, and the third wave is around, and some of us, especially the students, on campus, you see them putting on their masks when they go out immediately after. Then they remove this thing. And if care is not taken, actually, it's going to be a problem. Today, this morning, I was listening to the health expert, and they were saying, no, Master, the way things are going, if care is not taken, it's going to be a very bad situation for us. So I think as part of our education, we also maybe intensify our education so that people put on this nose mask and hand washing, these protocols we should try as much as possible. And also strengthens our laws. When there's laws, we should strengthen our laws so that we will not be taken by surprise. You know, this thing affected us a lot. Our school system was down, economy.
Literally every part of our nation
so
was
thinking
affected.
that we should be
No sector of society happened to have been.
My problem is education. If you have a child, your world is not that good when it comes to academic, and maybe it goes to stay in the house for a very long time. You could imagine the situation, how the situation would be.
To go back and recover will be difficult.
Yes. So it's possible we should come together. We should sit up and maybe try to put up certain things so that we will not be.
So with you. Sir Joseph Aban, Director, NCCE, at this point, your best say Obeke actually for the more appropriate population and housing census. Then we drift to the duties of assessment.
All that we are saying is, special, sometimes it will come so, I mean, you have to we are not going for fishing, we don't have money, you are coming to disturb us and a whole lot of things. In fact, it's very necessary we should know all these things. And maybe those of us at these bungalows and workers and all these things, we should also try as much as possible. Say, so you better because especially the remember your cable for some also will cancel me for the tree crap. We want the food too. And the problem is that sometimes
in the background
when we were recruiting the officers, we also considered
the Department of Music here at the University of Education in Winnipeg. And today we are expecting to have Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, the Minister for Education, gracing the occasion.
When we were recruiting them, we
Dr. Yao Osei Educhum is the guest of honor, and the guest speaker is Her Excellency Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Umar, the First Lady of Kano State in Nigeria.
And
the Honorable Dr. Veneto Ajiman Rollins.
Supervisors are also there. You can, so it wouldn't be a problem unless that maybe we decide, we're taking an entrenched position, we'll not participate in this thing. So we use ways and means to maybe discourage some people to maybe sort of, and let's also appreciate that I'm out for the door now. Maybe the exercise is going on. We are wishing that by Sunday, at least we'll get about, if not 100%, at 90 point something percent.
Yeah. Okay. And I know that will be like a cube of sugar into the teacup of Professor Samuel Kobana, a name the government statistician, together with this hard-working team. They really worked around the clock to ensure that even within a pandemic period, they're doing the work as is expected to be done. We are told every decade this exercise happened to take place. So as a citizen, we would want to act as such so that at the end of the day, we don't look on unconcerned. Whatsoever policies government happens to have for all of us, we would become beneficiaries. With that said and done, Director, with your permission, let's drift into that one. Like you told us this morning, we're looking at the duties of a citizen. That's Article 41. That says the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations, and accordingly, it shall be the duty of every citizen, thus A, to promote the prestige and good name of Ghana and respect the symbols of
right to this, the government do that, should do this, the government should, a whole lot. For that one, usually it is easy for us to say all this, but you see, we shouldn't forget. Right, and like you mentioned, right and responsibilities are inseparable. We cannot separate them. So as we demand for our rights, we should also try as much as possible the responsible part of it. We should also do it. Often demanding something from our leaders, demanding something from our workplaces, demanding something from our parents, and all these things. But what are we also doing to appreciate them? I was saying this thing in one of the schools. So fine, they were mentioning right to education, right to good health, right to shelter, and so forth. So do you know there's other responsibilities? What do? Do you appreciate your parents? Do you say, "Mommy, thank you"? Do you also sweep? Your responsibility as a child to sweep. Your responsibility as a child to wash the bowls. Your responsibility as a child to greet your parents, you're the elder, you do it. And so sometimes you don't do it, sometimes you do it. So I said it is by force something that we should do.
We are
our responsibilities.
Do that.
Yes, that is especially those of us are the things. Then maybe our leaders came into politics. But at the end of the day, you see them messing up. Yes, students. When the first year you see us being nicely, when we come on campus, we start destroying public properties and all these things. So I think it is our time as Ghanaians, it's our time as students, as parents, as children. We should as much as possible try and maybe our part. We should also play our part.
Okay, playing our part. Director, with your permission, we would like to actually beg to truncate our interesting discussion this morning. We're hoping we'll put it on ice, if not put it in the fridge, and then revisit it for next week, because an equally important program is taking place at the Joffos Animal Mensa Conference Center.
We are all taking part.
And hopefully we would have to cross our listeners over to join the field. That's the Faith International Multi-Disciplinary Conference for postgraduate students. So maybe in conclusion, quickly before we do that, about the next year for back next week.
Yeah, maybe I was the Ghana first. Young Jane and man who first. So, the your man, the young far much effort in the country. So, at the end of the day, Yenian or Yenian a woman, man. And can say 8 days without me, but Yenian, So, this is what I would say for now. So, maybe next week we will yes, it's more than what we heard.
Very true.
That's the 41 ABC. Going, taking one after the other.
Okay. So grateful to you, Sir Joseph Abar, member, director, National Commission for Civic Education, to helping us to make meaning of the more period for the Population and Housing Census this morning. Plus, duties of citizens, Article 41, A and B, respectively. But for want of time, we'd have to keep it close for now and get back to it for the future. Right about now, we need to join the feed when our team is set at the Joffos Animal Mensa Conference Center for live broadcast of the 5th International Multi-Disciplinary Conference for postgraduate students. Remember, traveling from this day, Saturday 15th to Friday 16th July 2021. Don't flick your dial, stick, and stay.
Good morning. While we're still standing, may we please the opening prayer. Let us pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for the gathering of your people. We are the handiwork of yours. Let us pray in the name of the Father. We can't do much without inviting you into our midst. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the promise that whenever you gathering of your name, you will be here. Therefore, be with us even as we go through this international conference. Give us a retentive memory for the promise and allow us to learn from one another so that the benefit will be all ours. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Give us a retentive memory.
Thank you
and
very
allow
much.
us to learn from one another so that the benefit will be all ours.
So that was
you are welcome to the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for
Reverend Dr.
Postgraduate
Alexander
Studies in the year 2021. And I would want to take this opportunity to once again national draw attention to the need to observe social distancing at all times. Ensure your nose mask is on. Opportunity to thank you very much. Draw attention to the need. I once again would want to take opportunity to introduce. Ensure your nose mask is on. Thank you very much. Occasion. I once again would have the opportunity
Windy Bay, 98.3 FM.
Our chairperson for the Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afrobroni in our PhD the Vice Chancellor of our noble university, the University of Education, Winneba. Shall we welcome our VC? Vice Chancellor, please, you are welcome. We would want to take a few words of acknowledgement from you, sir. University of Education, Winneba. Shall we welcome our VC? Vice Chancellor, please, you are welcome. We would want to take a few words of acknowledgement from you, sir. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education, ably represented by the Special Assistant for Tertiary Minister Education in Ghana, ably represented by the Honorable Dr. Zaneto Agyemang-Rawlings, MP, Korle Klottey Constituency, Education in Ghana, the Chief of Asamankese, who is the father of our GRASAC President, Agyemang-Rawlings, MP, Korle Klottey Constituency, the management team of the university, my colleague professors, other staff, the father of our GRASAC the representative Vice Dean of Graduate School, the management team, honorable student leaders, my colleague, my dear students, conference participants, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The University of Education, Winneba, established in September 1992 by an Act of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, Act 778, is among the top public universities that churn out competent teachers for our nation. For the records, we are the fastest growing, largest populated public university almost 10 years in a row. Universities that churn out competent teachers for our nation. As part of our mandate, UEW offers a wide range of professional undergraduate and postgraduate programs. To successfully fulfill our mandate amidst the COVID-19 global pandemic and to help contribute to the reduction of the spread of the pandemic, our university, like many other institutions around the globe, has implemented and continues to implement a number of reforms and effective strategies. Apart from having put a COVID compliance team in place and observing the protocols, UEW is currently running a hybrid instructional and assessment system. Our university's College of Distance and E-Learning, CODEL, has been transformed to meet contemporary standards with the pandemic still hanging over our shoulders. In addition, efforts have been made to provide ample space to ease congestion for student activities with the construction of a multi-purpose student center, the first of its kind in the nation. In addition, efforts have been made to provide ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, this facility houses numerous student services, such as offices and conference halls for student-centered programs. There are seminar rooms, banking halls, office for finance, student services, restaurants, university radio station, offices for counseling, deans of student affairs, SRC, GRASAC, NUCS, and a new TV station for the university. Therefore, students can sometimes have educational instructions even in the comfort of their homes, thereby reducing human contact, which facilitates the spread of the pandemic. Our graduate school currently has a graduate lounge with internet connectivity where graduate students can access high-speed internet for effective research work. Distinguished guests, just a few days ago, the management team signed a contract with CDEC, a prominent contractor, and we cut sod for the construction of a modern 4-story multi-purpose School of Research and Graduate Studies building, which should be completed within 24 months. This is to demonstrate our commitment to what universities really do. Concentrating on what graduate schools do is what makes universities what universities should be standing for. As a large and progressive university, UEW is poised to producing professional educators and scholars to complement Ghana's efforts to achieve rapid economic and social development. Following this self-assurance, the university is currently collaborating with the Ghana National Council for Private Schools to run tailor-made degree programs to upscale the qualification of some 200,000 on trained private school teachers across the country to professional degree holders. This is to support the Education Ministry in its efforts to deliver quality education for the empowerment of the masses. We are hopeful that all these projections will come to a successful fruition with the augmentation of research output in this university. Our university runs a democratic governance system where teaching, non-teaching staff and students at all levels are adequately represented at the decision-making tables. At this university, we believe that decisions should mirror the interests and aspirations of those involved. This is achieved by connecting people at the bottom of the university standing committees and the academic board subcommittees. These committees allow for diverse opinions on matters that eventually produce sound recommendations that are implemented for the achievement of the university's goal. You will bear with me, Chairperson, distinguished invited guests, that the postgraduate student is very much an integral member of any serious university such as ours. It is therefore not a mere coincidence that this year's conference has chosen the theme, Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, the role of the postgraduate student. The university needs earnestly awaits the contributions from graduate students, professors, and others at this gathering to advance their efforts towards an all-inclusive developmental agenda that will drive the achievement of our institutional goals. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our honorable guests, let me reiterate that indeed a lot of hard work, dedication, sacrifice and perseverance have gone into the planning of this conference. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to salute Enoch and his team of very, very competent and hard-working people. Let's applaud them, please. Sacrifice and perseverance have gone into the planning of this conference. To all those who are participating in this year's conference, I'm certain that UEW offers you the best ambience in this pandemic era. Fortunately, I have been part of this series, and this is the fifth. To all those who are participating, and I can assure you that this is the best of all that we have done from the beginning. Let me encourage you by saying that your contributions will broaden your research expertise and also enhance your personal status when you meet scholars from diverse backgrounds and disciplines. Let me also take the opportunity to welcome our guests, participants from other countries other than our nation. We welcome you and we encourage you to enjoy our beautiful scenery. I pray that by the end of this conference, the enthusiasm that drove your decision to share your research at this conference will be rewarded and your aspirations met. On this note, and on behalf of this great university, I wish humbly yet joyfully to officially welcome our special guests, Dr. Nkansa from the Ministry of Education, representing the Minister for Education. I wish humbly yet joyfully Her Excellency Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Umar, the First Lady of the Kano State, Nigeria, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, MP, Kole Klote, and our guest speaker, and all dignitaries who have found time within their busy schedules to come and to grace this conference. I wish to acknowledge with outstanding gratitude the support offered by the moderators and to all who contributed immensely to making this conference a reality. May the good Lord richly bless you all. I wish all participants the best experiences of the conference, and I'd like to encourage you to familiarize with the modest infrastructure within this university and the Winneba community at large. While doing so, please remember to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Please wash your hands often. Please keep a decent social distance. Please sanitize your hands often and keep your face mask on. Once again, UEW welcomes you to the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for postgraduate students hosted here at this university. And now, by the powers invested in me as the Vice Chancellor, I'd like to declare this very important for postgraduate students hosted here at this university. And now, by the powers invested in me as the Vice Chancellor, I'd like to declare this very important
98.3 FM.
thanking the performance. The performers, we are very grateful for the beautiful rendition. Okay, we are thanking the performance. The performers, we are very grateful for the beautiful rendition. Let us clap for them as they do their thing. So beautiful it was. We are very grateful to our
Mental Theatre Act here at the Investment Education Winneba. And before the performance was an address by Reverend Professor Anthony Afro, the Vice
so
Chancellor.
beautiful it was. We are very grateful to our
Mental Theatre Act here at the Investment Education Winneba. And before the performance was an address by Reverend Professor Anthony Afro, the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor told us that UW is the number one fastest growing public university in Ghana for 10 years running. The disease that there are states to ease congestion. Now it's time for the presentation by Honorable Dr. to ensure that no student, Member of Parliament for Kote Kole, or staff of the university contract the disease. And as a result, there are spaces to ease congestion. Now it's time for the presentation by Honorable Dr. Zeneto Ajman Rawlings, the Member of Parliament for Kote Kole, who is the guest speaker.
The Pro-Vice Chancellor, University of Education, the Very Reverend Officer, Professor Anthony and Nana Brony, delegation chief of us, Dr. Eric Nkansa, representative of the teaching staff for the education, and all the students, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, and non-teaching staff here present, and stand on previous protocols. And I thank you for this invitation. And Nana, I'm honored to be here in the presence of those who the teaching staff have been and will be responsible for molding non-teaching staff and leaders, and stand on previous protocols. And I would like to congratulate the leadership. I'm honored to be here, as well as the students who are for the amazing have been and will be your university for molding our citizens and leaders. And it's green. I would like to congratulate the leadership, and if I may, this institution, as well as the students. Your bathrooms are clean. The amazing turnout. Your university campus is clean and it's green. I was very happy to hear about the upgrade of about 200,000. And if I may, because I think for far too long your bathrooms are clean. That says a lot. Not regarded with the level of respect and importance. I was very happy to hear about the upgrade of about 200,000 teachers. The high transmissibility for far too long the COVID-19 have not regarded with the level of respect has forced us since last year to change our way of life. Schools were shut down. People lost time on the academic transmissibility of the COVID-19 school performance virus. And as we all know, there's nothing like forced that in-person interaction last year to change our way of life. Schools were shut down, improve on our ways of using technology, academic and teaching on their school performance. And as we all know, there's nothing like that in-person interaction when it comes to teaching and learning. On whether your students we were forced to improve on our ways of using technology. I recall in teaching, in learning, and lecturers were forced to learn how to read other signs besides simply body language on whether your students are understanding what you're saying or not. Who had organized classes for a lot of the recall during the lead up to the election last year, during the lockdown and afterwards. Now, I mention this because encountering a lot of postgraduate students in various parts of my constituency within the context who had organized classes for a lot of the children in the communities because the schools had been shut down. That ability to translate what you know. Now, I mention this because when we're talking about the value of postgraduate students, so as you within the context of good education, and as you're learning at a time like this that you're meant to teach, that ability to translate what you know as well by being able to teach somebody else is key. As you spend time here, and as you are learning what it is that you're meant to teach, the method by which you can teach is important as well. Because I'm sure, as you all know, as you teach, you discover that people have different learning styles. And as a teacher or as a lecturer, your ability to recognize the styles that your students or your class have, and to be able to modify your teaching skills so that they all can benefit, or as much as possible people don't fall on the wayside, makes you different from the next person. And so as you go through the school, take in as much as you possibly can. Do not narrow yourself down to what is only your field of expertise. The more you know, the better your ability to reach out of where you find yourself. Because as the pandemic has taught us, the more adaptable you are, the more agile you are, the greater your ability to survive and to thrive. And if this is anything to go by, it is something that should teach us that life is not black and white, and there is no manual that prepares us adequately, because things will come up, and our ability to adapt, to adjust to situations, that is all part of your education. The president has directed that all schools must go back. So we're all at full capacity and we're all back. But it does not change the fact that at some point, something else could come up. And we're not hoping for it to do so, but we must maximize the time that we have in learning, in teaching, in networking, in getting to know one another, so that whenever we find ourselves in a crisis situation, we're able to reach out to one another, not as strangers or just as mere colleagues, but as friends. If there's one thing that we learned about this period under the pandemic and under lockdown and various restrictions that were put in place, it was the importance of a society's ability to network. That friendship, that ability to help one another and reach out to one another became ever so important. And we must not lose that going forward. Regarding the pandemic, there are still questions regarding why we find so many asymptomatic cases in Ghana compared to other places. And that's something that our scientists need to take a little bit more interest in. But that also stems from our policies and our paradigm as a nation, and the value we put on research, the value we put on teaching. Postgraduate implies having completed some level of study already and coming to do some more. The objective of tertiary level education is to expand your horizons, to deepen your knowledge, to help you with your critical thinking, to be able to prepare you as you help mold our nation builders. And all of these are to get people to be people who will work in the public service, in the armed forces, not limited to, but including, whether it's an agric, but then of course the most noble of all, or one of the most, teaching. Because no country can move forward without a sound education. If your citizens are not well educated, it's difficult to make them understand why certain policies are important. Knowledge is so crucial. And your ability to teach those who you will be imparting knowledge to, how to think critically, how to be more patriotic, is so key. Because one of the reasons in our education. So there's this gap which nobody is really taking up, because now the rites of passage that the young women and young men, when they reached puberty or the adolescent age, had to with the young girls, and they would teach them certain. We seem to have left a bit of that behind, but no nation can truly develop sustainably if it leaves behind its identity. And so you have a big task now to take on board a little bit of that in terms of how we prepare our young people. And it's not only about the ability to read and write, it means to be a citizen, and what belonging to a community, belonging to a country means. If we're talking about education, under the 1992 Constitution, Article 25(1) tells us that opportunities and facilities on how much we're willing to dedicate ourselves to taking on the knowledge, not only what's in our books, but beyond that, so that in any given circumstances, no matter which subject you're teaching, wherever you find yourself, you are a pillar of knowledge. You can be a guiding force for the younger people. If today we're looking at the youth as a threat to our national security, perhaps it's because our generation hasn't done enough to ensure that they are a force of building our nation. So we must do more. I don't believe that hope is lost. The quality of education tells us that we know we can. That says a lot. It means that the quality that University of Education Winneba is offering is of such a high caliber that people know that if you want that value, this is where you should be. So with all due respect, if you find yourself here, students and your pupils, all of these are so important. And as I look into this crowd, I know I'm not speaking to people who don't know what they're about. You're here because you know the value of this school, this university. You know what it presents. And so as you go out, be good ambassadors. Be good ambassadors for the teachers, adequately preparing and molding its citizens and its leaders to be. I'm hoping that more and more the emphasis on the level of experience and expertise that we have for those who are teaching the younger ones talked about, but perhaps it is about ensuring that those who are building the foundations of our nation know that we value them as a nation, that the country actually values them. We would not be here if you didn't give us what we have. My foundation was because I had teachers. I did not wake up with the knowledge I have today, whether it was through kindergarten or primary school, through Winneba is full of students. You can't go 100 meters without meeting a student. And I was explaining to him that I went to Dublin for my medical school, and when you have a town or a city that has the influence that you have so many students, it changes everything about that place. It should have an impact. You have made Winneba a big deal. Not that it wasn't before, but you have really added value. And so when people hear Winneba, they think about education. And so it should be. And it should reflect in the community as well. I don't know if you have voluntary days where some of your staff go into the community, but if you don't have that as yet, I would highly recommend that, because sometimes the volunteering is what helps young people see that there is something beautiful in teaching, and then they can have that first impression of meeting you outside of a school unit specifically, but understanding that there is this amazing profession, which is what you do. Your ability to be agile as teachers, your ability to collaborate given the few resources you have, understanding what your vision is so crucial. Creativity is important. There are times when what you need is not there, but your ability to be creative is what will help you to capture the imagination of your students and your pupils. Make use of all your faculties. That is what makes you a beautiful teacher. That is what makes you amazing. I remember when I was in JSS, we had a teacher called Mrs. Amatia Ma. And by the time she was done with us, I think we all knew the student's companion in first aid in English, because she had this way of doing this, she used to call, I can't remember what she called it, but she would go around the class, and it was like a speed thing, and we'll go around, and she'd tell you which page she was going to tackle the following week, and we all had to do it, because you didn't know whether you'd be rearranged in the class to learn what it is that you had to do and recite it. So just to make sure you didn't embarrass yourself, you made an effort. Let's help our young people understand that education is not just about the certificate. It's beyond that. The quality of what you're studying is important. And so as you go about what you do here, your role, you can only impart what you have. Let's make the most of the facilities you have. You have your libraries, you have access to the online facilities. Make the most of that while you can. This is the best opportunity for you. Right now, it's all about how to be creative and innovative and make sure that you're co-creating with your students, because sometimes we learn from those that we teach, and it's an ongoing activity. Let us allow the young ones who we're teaching to thrive. Let them ask their questions. No question is a foolish question. Give them that opportunity to build their confidence and their self-esteem. Sometimes the only educated person a child will meet in their life is their teacher. And if you can give them that self-esteem, that confidence, and the value system, the principles that they will need, so that when they become leaders in society, the money that is meant for your remuneration, the money that is meant for your education is channeled to you and not into their pockets. All of these are important because of the values that we teach them. So, Nananom, as you have your role traditionally, let us see how the things that our young ones can't learn from you nowadays, the teachers can take that up as well, so that we close this gap between our culture and our education. And stop thinking that becoming educated means leaving all our culture and traditions behind. There are very good things in our traditions, there are good things in our culture that we must hold on to and inculcate into our education. That is what makes us unique. That is why we can look at China and say China has achieved this, or India has achieved that, or Singapore has achieved this or that. The reason is they understand the value of a hybrid system between what they have as their cultural beliefs, as their tradition, and the education that is modern. And being able to blend that towards the vision of what you want your nation to be is where we want Ghana to be as well. Let's remember who we are as Ghanaians. Let's bring the best of our various cultures together. Incorporate that with the education. And as we move forward, let's make the best of what we have to ensure that whether there's a pandemic or not, be it COVID or any other, we can still impart the best of the knowledge that we have towards the younger ones in our society. Thank you so very much. I must apologize that I must take leave of you because as a member of the Defense and Interior Committee, I'm the deputy ranking and the Speaker has directed that we go to WA to deal with the issue that has been making the news, and we leave today. So I must beg your pardon and apologize that I must leave very shortly. I thank you so very much for this opportunity, and I do hope to come back again sometime soon. Congratulations to all of you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Madam. Please kindly remain standing for us as we... Hello, Doctor. Please, Honorable, just a moment. Honorable, please, just a moment. Before you sit down, we have a little citation to present to you by our Vice-Chancellor. So kindly receive it from... On behalf of Grassak and the University of Education, yes. So we present this citation to Dr. Zaneto Ajiman-Rawlings for her enormous contribution to the developments of her community and the Republic of Ghana. Thank you, Madam, for coming. We are grateful. Thank you, sir, for accepting. Yes. Okay, so on this call, as she did announce, she'll be taking leave of us in the next few minutes. And so if you see her exit, then she's duly giving her due to this August program. Thank you very much. On this call, we call on the music department to give us a musical interlude as we usher her out of the auditorium. Thank you very much.
That was the Member of Parliament for Clote Pole in the Chakra, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman-Rawlings, who is the keynote speaker for this 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for postgraduate students here at the University of Education, Winneba. She first began by congratulating the university for ensuring a clean and a green environment. She said, tertiary education is for deep and critical thinking, and people who pass through tertiary education are expected to contribute to national development. He said there is a big gap between socialization and education which needs to be addressed on them. She also tells us that salaries of teachers need not be politicized because teachers do a wonderful job in training the manpower for this country, and therefore need to be resourced to ensure they give up their best in the training of the human power of this country. He said education is not about certificate, and that there is a lot to education. Going to school shouldn't mean that you are only seeking a certificate to work, but you should learn a lot to be able to influence national decision and policies. She said, students, be innovative in all ways to be able to address many challenges that confront us as a nation. You are still live on Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. We are also coming to you on Facebook at Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM, where today we are bringing you a live broadcast from the Jofus Anamwa Mensa Conference Center here at the North Campus of the University of Education, Winneba, for the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference
Thank you very
of
much,
the
Department of
postgraduate students of the University of Education, Winneba. In the background was a rendition of Oye by a student from the Department of Music Education of the University of Education, Winneba. It's now the turn of the Grassak president, Enoch Ansa, to give us his opening address.
Building on existing protocols, I extend warm greetings from the local executive committee of Grassak UW and the planning committee of the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students, which is themed Quality Education in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, the Role of the Postgraduate Students. The person who thinks he knows everything has a lot to learn. Thomas A. Edison made the comments, "We do not know 1 millionth part of 1% about anything. We do not know what water is. We do not know what light is. We do not know what gravity is. We do not know anything about magnetism. We have a lot of hypotheses, but that is all. Is making the best use of its GRASAC president and past student leaders to know how feasible the fifth session of the conference could be held in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. We finally agreed to have using the hybrid mode, which shall make provision for both face-to-face and true virtual presentations. The committee met not less than 15 times in Ghana and also traveled outside Ghana to invite other personalities to making sure the conference sees the light of the day. Lombardi knew that if you wanted something in life, you had to plan for it, prepare yourself for it, and then most importantly, you have to go for it. There's an old saying that 1,000 wishes do not fill a bucket with fishes. Thinking and feeling do not produce action. Only action produces thinking and feeling. Mark Twain put it in this way: tender is good. Tender is impressive, but it is the lightning that gets the job done. I salute the Vice Chancellor, the Dean and the Vice Dean of School of Graduate Studies, the Dean and Vice Deans of Student Affairs, the University Management, and the Principal of Ejumako, and all senior and junior members of the IMCFPS at UW 2022. The local executive committee of GRASAC UW and all past GRASAC presidents, and especially Mr. Ofori Dankwa, who is the MC for today, whose vision gave birth to the conference, the experiences, contributions, advice, directions, have made it possible for this year's conference. To my colleagues, students, and senators, life is about 20% what happens to us and 80% in the way we respond to events. Let us use this year's conference as an opportunity to better equip ourselves for an academic endeavor. Ted Engstrom wrote with insight: cripple him and you have Sir Walter Scott. Lock him in prison cell and you have George Washington. Raise him in abject poverty and you have an Abraham Lincoln. Strike him down with infantile paralysis and he becomes Franklin Roosevelt. Bend him so severely that doctors will say he can never walk again. And you have in Gunningham, who set the world's 1 mile record in 1934. Defend him and you have Van Beethoven. Have him or her born black in society filled with racial discrimination, and you have a Booker T. Washington, a Mariam Anderson, a George Washington Carver, Barack Obama. Call him a slow learner, retarded, and write him off as an uneducable, and you have Albert Einstein. Let us believe in ourselves, believe in our passion, believe in our dreams, and trust in the good Lord Almighty that at all times he shall make us great. On this note, I welcome everyone to the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students. Long live GRASAC UW, long live UW, long live Ghana and our continent. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Long live the University of Education, long live Ghana. Thank you very much, Mr. Inokansa, for that beautiful address you have shared with us. I would want to take this opportunity to announce that we are live on Facebook. And on Radio Windy Bay, 98.3 mega.
Prof. Chairman,
Reverend Father Professor Afo Bruni, Vice Chancellor of University of Education, Winneba, the Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Andy Ofori Briquine, Honorable Zeneto has just left us, the Dean of School of Graduate Studies, Professor George Kankam, the Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Ernest Akwesi Amponsa, Nananom, Deans and Directors present, distinguished delegates and participants, our friends from the media, students, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I bring you warm greetings from the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Aduchum, the Minister of Education. The Minister of Education would have loved to join us this morning for this momentous Graduate Students Association of Ghana, GRASAC, here at the University of Education, Winneba, on the theme, Quality Education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, the role of the postgraduate student. I'm indeed grateful to the management of this university and the organizers of this conference for this invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has hit several countries across the globe very, very hard, resulting in countless alterations of our way of life and compelling us to adapt to the changing times constantly. Ghana, like any other country, has not been spared from the impact of this pandemic. The educational sector is one of the hardest hit across the globe. In response, the government has instituted several alternatives and innovative pedagogical reforms. For instance, universities have resorted to hybrid modes of instruction and assessment as a way of adapting to the throes of the pandemic. Also, in education, research is one of the arms that has taken a heavy impact from the pandemic. Travel restrictions alone mean that human contact and flexible relations often quoted for effective research networking during intellectual meetings have to be substituted with virtual meetings with little or no human interaction. This notwithstanding, it has been a prudent measure for education and research institutions to adopt such alternatives to sustain the system amid the COVID challenges. Prof. Chair, one cannot underestimate the importance of academic conferences in education and research. It is an avenue where people or students learn new things and get their scholarly ideas marketed and critiqued constructively for national development. On this note, Prof. Chair, permit me to commend the University of Education, GRASAC, University of Education, Winneba, GRASAC, for successfully organizing this academic conference despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Chair, I would like to highlight some significance of conferences of this nature to students and early career researchers. To begin with, Many students have anxieties in asking questions and presenting ideas to unfamiliar people in a gathering. Such academic conferences offer an ideal environment for overcoming these anxieties. At such conferences, it is understood that participants and presenters are gathered for the same reason of sharing ideas and generating thoughts. Attending conferences allow researchers to meet professionals in similar domains of research. This is where one meets more advanced researchers as well as established senior professionals and scholars. Listening to the presentations can open up new ways of thinking about a specific topic, including new methodology approaches. Post-conference times are usually interactional, especially because one gets the opportunity to speak to the presenters in person, ask for opinions and advice, sometimes contact for further discussions. At conferences, you get to meet like-minded colleagues who share your passion and interest, and as well as people who are researching your field of study. I therefore urge you to take advantage of this conference and make new friends, build healthy relationships that will travel beyond this period. Conferences such as this, Prof. Chair, gives students and early career researchers innovative ideas and spark interest in certain areas of discovery. Most scholars test their ideas by putting them out to the audience for critical responses. Through such fora, one gets to learn groundbreaking theories and discoveries on a subject which are unlikely to be found in existing publications. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that higher education and academic research remain a priority for the government and will continue to invest in creating conditions for robust, knowledge-based economy. The passage of the National Research Fund bill into law by Parliament of the world. One of the critical challenges usually faced by Ghanaian researchers and academics, particularly young researchers, is having access to research funding. Most global research funders set out criteria that make it challenging for young scientists from developing countries to receive funding to carry out research, which usually may be locally relevant. The NRF, which is the National Research Fund, will provide support to early career researchers and academics. Let me assure you that the Ministry of Education will soon launch and operationalize the National Research Fund. We will continue to work with relevant stakeholders for its implementation. Prof. Chair, Ghana's gross tertiary enrollment ratio currently stands at 18.84%, which significantly falls short of the target of 25%, which was envisaged by the Education Strategic Plan. This has a significant effect on the production of a quality workforce and Ghana's GDP growth. A study conducted by an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, in 2012 concluded that 60% of GDP in France, Norway, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom is contributed by those who have acquired some form of tertiary education. As of 2012, Prof. Chair, these countries had the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of over 55% on the average. Thus, high gross tertiary enrollment ratio is a critical driver in the socio-economic transformation in any country. At the last of the nation address, His Excellency, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, underscored the government's commitment to increase the gross tertiary enrollment ratio from 18.84% to 40% by 2030. The free senior high school and the revitalization of the complementary education in Ghana will curate a pipeline of students in this pursuit. The government will continue to work with tertiary education authorities to expand infrastructure to accommodate these large numbers. In addition, Chair, the Ministry of Education has made significant progress in establishing Open University Ghana, which will complement the efforts of the existing universities in Ghana. Prof. Chair, the Ministry of Education is repositioning the entire educational system to produce a critical mass of assertive and empowered Ghanaian students, equipped with the essential skills for socio-economic transformation. These essential skills require to fully participate in the fourth industrial revolution in the 21st century include critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration, also known as the 4 C's. Our educational systems, the educational systems repositioning would be achieved through a robust whole school reform anchored on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. STEM education is high on the government's agenda and is putting in place measures to increase the study of science and also to increase the science to humanities ratio from the current position of 40 to 60 to 60-40 in favor of sciences. Researchers in STEM-related fields are changing the face of the world every day by discovering life-saving drugs. An example is the vaccines for COVID-19, and devices or even creating new technologies that keep us healthier, safer, and even entertain us. Therefore, we encourage the academic community to promote the study of STEM-related fields and also the early career researchers to take interest in studying the STEM-related fields. In conclusion, Prof. Chair, I want to thank GRASAC, University of Education Winneba, once again for inviting me to this conference and encourage participants and presenters to maximize the opportunities that this conference offers. I wish you all the best. I thank you for your attention. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkansa, for delivering on behalf of our minister. give it up to the Department of Education, Winneba. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was the Department of Theatre Arts, and we say we are grateful. We are on Facebook and on Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM, our campus radio station. Join us there and be part of this wonderful occasion. I would want to take opportunity to introduce a couple of guests who are with us. Mr. Chairman, kindly permit me to do so. Thank you very much, sir. We have in our midst Dr. Emmanuel M.J. Tamanja from IRIS. We have Dr. Robert Gane, Acting Director, Center for Conflict and Human Rights, Human Rights and Peace Studies. Madam Katumi Comfort Madam, Graduate Coordinator, Faculty of Home Economics Education, Professor Sakina Kwa, HOD, Department of Basic Education. Madam Lani Ashon, HOD, Integrated Home Economics. Rosemary Kwaku, HOD, Clothing and Textiles Education. Professor Brahima, Dean, School of Business. Professor Aswa, Vice Dean, School of Graduate Studies. Professor Kula Rahim Wale, Chairman, Steering Committee of the Conference. Professor Siedu Ado, Department of Mathematics. Madam Hartwell Tamakolo, National GRASAC President. Dr. Christian Hammond, Faculty of Foreign Languages and Communication. Dr. Mavis Amomensa, Institutional Advancement. We have Professor Samuel Hayford, Dean, Faculty of Educational Studies. Professor Michael J. Nabi, HOD, Mathematics Education. Professor Phyllis Foster, Dean, Faculty, Home Economics Education. Professor Emmanuel Obedakwa, Director, Quality Assurance, UW. Dr. Patrick de Graaf Janssen, Dean, School of Creative Arts. Reverend Dr. Alexander Edwards, University Chaplain, UW. Dr. Yaira Jagadzi, HOD, Early Childhood Education. Not least, Dr. Peter Akuyiri, HOD, IRIS. So in due course, as we take notice, we would announce same with all protocols observed. Thank you very much. And so I also want to introduce Berima Pobi Esuman II, happens to be the father of our GRASAC president, Nana Ohene Asamoah, linguist, accompanying Nana, and Mrs. Emma Ansa, mother to our president. They came to grace this wonderful occasion. Aren't that beautiful? Let us appreciate them as they are here with us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We also want to take an opportunity to invite our Pro-Vice Chancellor to present a citation in honor of our guest speaker, whose rep is here to receive it on his behalf. Thank you very much, Prof, for doing us the honors. We are very grateful, Professor Oferibrikwan. We take this opportunity, I love opportunities, to invite our GRASAC National President, none than our own, Madam Hartwell, former GRASAC President, UW, immediate past, to give us her address. Thank you very much, Madam, and welcome.
Mr. Chairman, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Very Reverend Professor Anthony Afrobroni, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the rep of the Minister of Education, deans, directors, Nananom, the planning committee of this conference, the GRASAC executives, all protocols observed. I bring you a warm felicitation and congratulations from the Graduate Students Association of Ghana National Secretariat. Indeed, it is an honor to have this privilege to be associated with this important event, the 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference of the Postgraduate Students. I am so delighted to be here this morning because this 5th conference should have been organized by me, but because of COVID-19, I couldn't do this. But I am very grateful that I have the opportunity to be here this morning, not as the local president, but as the National GRASAC president. Mr. Chairman, my administration is full of pride, recognizing that one of our member institutions, University of Education Winneba, is leading the way in research dissemination, especially with the organization of this multidisciplinary conference for postgraduate students across Ghana and beyond. We will therefore wish to urge other member institutions whose research conferences are restricted to their campuses to open up for international participation, and those member institutions who are yet to organize their research conferences to emulate this shining pace being set by GRASAC UEW. I wish to bring to the attention of the conference that, as partners in research and practice for national development, GRASAC has been able to set up a graduate research trust fund. This fund was launched in November last year. The board of directors for the fund had been constituted and other necessary structures have been put in place. In a short while, we will be enrolling this trust fund for all students to take part. Quality education is very critical for the growth and development of every nation. It is fundamental to human rights and it is indispensable for the attainment of sustainable development. Hence, the need for effective research implementation for the realization of quality education for national development. This will also serve as a special vehicle for attaining the Sustainable Development Goal, otherwise known as the Global Goal for Blueprints, to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all people and the world by 2030. Particularly, Goal 4, which has to do with the inclusive and equitable quality education and the promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all. We wish to also call on government, the tertiary community, other private and global players in the education sector to ensure that new ideas and services are properly disseminated to and apply through network and linkage for national development with the blazing COVID-19 pandemic in sight. The fact that conferences of this sort require a lot of research and commitment to make them see the light of day. Mr. Chairman, kindly permit me to conclude by extending a sincere the university authorities for another landmark international conference. We are very grateful. We wish all participants fruitful and successful deliberation. Long live graduate studies, long live GRASAG UEW, long live GRASAG National, and long live Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Tamakolo, for the presentation. Mr. Chair, I will take your indulgence, I'll crave your indulgence to announce in our midst the GRASAG president for UDS. He's in our midst, traveled all the way from Tamale to join us in this conference. We say welcome, and we will teach you a lot. Thank you. Okay, welcome, sir. We are grateful. At this note, I would want to make a few announcements, and then we'll take the chairperson's closing remarks. And it goes as we'd want to show our appreciation to the 5th IMC FPS conference. The chairmanship is of Professor Kulawale Rahim, Professor Samale Siedu. We are showing our gratitude to these honorable men, and also to Professor George Kankam, Dean of School of Graduate Studies, Professor Charles K. Asua, Vice Dean. They've been very remarkable. We thank Dr. Seth Chinibua from Shraps, Dr. Ephraim Kwaidu, Director IT Services UEW. Well, I did not mention my name. My name is here, Samuel Faridan. And then we have Mr. Stephen Achebo, and would assist you. We also have Dr. Odetiti in our midst, and we also want to acknowledge him as well. We have facilitators being informed to humbly wait behind after this session for a quick meeting. Thank you for taking these notices. Mr. Chair, Reverend Professor, please, would draw your attention for your remarks.
Thank you very much, MC. Nananum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to be part of this very impressive 5th International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students 2021. I have indeed been to several international conferences locally and abroad, but I want to repeat that this is one of the most impressive and excellently organized, and for that reason I want to salute the organizers for good job done, powerful collaboration and networking. Let me congratulate this leadership. Enoch, is that type? Enoch, yes, please applaud this gentleman. And of course, and his team. I really enjoy this, what I'm seeing here. The fact that this beautiful idea started in 2015, and the fact that successive leadership of GRASAG have continued in the tradition, and so none has abandoned it. To be able to celebrate the 5th one in succession, not counting COVID. But even that is well done, because the one who was supposed to have organized and brazen through the COVID, is now the national president of GRASA. For the sake of those who may not know, Ms. Tamaklo is a student of this university. So UEW is at the it's a student. I'm saying all of these things to express gratitude of this great university to the His Excellency the President of the Republic, and to the Minister, Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, for sending Dr. Nkansa to ably represent him here. And I'm enjoying the assurances of support. Sounds more like an academic. Of course, Provici and I followed her to her car, and she repeated and even said some other things that made me convinced that she really, really has fallen in love with UEW, and I'm looking forward to her coming back again and doing something at the national level for recognition of the contribution of this university to the nation, and in fact, internationally. I want to congratulate and thank the professors and other senior members for their passionate mentorship of the student leaders. What is so beautiful about these guys and these ladies is that the leadership keeps expanding, because the ones who started it and continued have never, nobody has left. So it looks like every year there's going to be an additional set of leaders very seriously. This is the beginning of academic. You are the tomorrow. Did you hear what I said? I said you are the tomorrows of this great university. About 2 years ago or so, we had a matriculation on the Anamwa Mensa car park, where we erected huge canopies, and on that day, as I was speaking, it just dawned on me that I should try something, and I did. And I was encouraging the students and assuring them that not too long from there, they were going to be seated where we, the academics or the staff, were seated. And then I said, let me just try for you to know that what I'm saying is true. Let all those lecturers and professors and other people sitting at the days who came through UEW, please rise. Do you remember that? And we got about 70 or 80% of the lecturers at that time. Don't you want to applaud? And you see, I am not talking about inbreeding. I'm not talking about inbreeding at all. I'm not talking about, there are a few exceptions of somebody doing first degree, second degree, PhD, but most, and I've done the demographics, most of the people that call themselves alumni of UEW who were standing up were people who had done first degree and gone out to do second degree and PhD, or done first degree and second degree and gone out to do a PhD, or done first degree, you know, that type of blend. So people who came with all kinds of backgrounds. And that's the type of culture that we want to build. Because if you go to any university anywhere in the world, like my Fordham or Yale or Cambridge or any of the big universities, you would find that many of them, and that's the case in Legon too, many of them started in that university. And so there's a sense of ownership and a sense of pride and a sense of, should I say, local patriotism, collegiate patriotism in the university. And I think that we are building that. So let this continue. Woe betides the next group who fail to continue this. Woe betides them. This tradition should continue. And on that.
Thank you, Prof. Please, before you assume your seat, Prof. Chair, please just keep standing for us. We have a little presentation to do to you. And we call Professor Rahim Kolowari to do that on our behalf. Oh, let's clap for our Reverend Father, very Reverend Father.
Motivating students
Professor
here.
PhD. We want to say we are very grateful for all the assistance and all for all the beautiful things you do to us. We say God bless you. And Gasak is grateful. Thank you, sir.
To go higher in education so that tomorrow, when the current crop of leaders in UW are not there, they will
okay, so we also acknowledge the presence of Francis Xavier Adams, our former GASAC president, my predecessor. He's here with us, currently on PhD. Boss, we say welcome. And then we welcome UCC. GASAC president is also here. We say welcome. And to all the colleagues we failed to acknowledge, especially our own brother Ebony Emmanuel Owusu is also here with us. We acknowledge you for all the beautiful things we did together. So, from my own Reverend Father, very Reverend will say, he's very Fordham, my own UEW. We also want to show gratitude to everyone who came. We say thank you. God richly bless you. For the time alone, we say we appreciate. And we would want to say, once again, we are grateful. We would want to call on the university chaplain to give us the closing
she has to take
prayer.
leave of us as she has an urgent national assignment.
Shall we rise up for the closing prayer,
perform
please?
in WAM. The program is gradually coming to an end, and after the university
Almighty
has said
God,
the prayer,
everlasting,
the program closes.
The merciful one,
for today.
When we gathered, we remembered you, we invited you, and you did respond. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for an enlightenment that shows that this institution is going far, and the future is so bright that our graduate students can take up the mantle even after us. Father, I thank you for this knowledge and understanding that has come as a result of our interactions today. May you take us all the way to our various places. Let us be reflective and honor those who are to be honored, that our days will be long. We thank you for our traveling mercies. We thank you for our journeys home. But above all, we thank you for our lives, even as university graduate students and presenters, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please, before we exit,
of the two-day International Multi-Disciplinary Conference of the postgraduate students of the University of Education, Winneba, has come to an end. The program continues tomorrow with other presentations by speakers. Dr. Zaneto Adman Rollins, the keynote speaker, presented, and she commended UW highly for being the number one teacher education
for our
in the
guests,
country.
we are receiving you at the FPU Executive Lounge. And then for all senior members, please, we are hosting you at the Convocation Lounge here. Please do make time and pass through for us.
Whoever passed through education is expected to
participants are waiting behind for a quick
to
announcement and
national
facilitators as well. Thank you, sirs. We are
Dr.
grateful.
Senator Rawlings made it clear that there seems to be a gap between socialization and education which needs to be addressed. The program is the 5th International Multi-Disciplinary Conference of Postgraduate Students of the University of Education, Winneba. It has come to an end here at the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center at the University of Education. We shall bring part. The program was patronized by heavily patronized by students here at the university. Tomorrow, it is expected that Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Omar, the First Lady of State in the Republic of Nigeria, will also present an address. The conference is on the theme Quality Education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, the role of the postgraduate student. This has been a live coverage that came to you from the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center here at the North Campus of the University of Education, Winneba. We came to you on Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM, also on Facebook at Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. Tomorrow, we'll come your way again here from the Jofus Anamo Mensa Conference Center here at the North Campus. Was brought to you by a team led by King Batuka, our senior technician, our technician, Sampana, our cameraman, and DJ Maestro, who is also our cameraman. I am Kwame Anamat. So we meet again. Bye for now.